the book.
That was Aaron Rodgers' thing. To your quarterback in the first round.
Yeah.
It's a luxury pick. We don't have the luxury. We're trying to win right now. I'm in a window right now, and you're going to say, no, we're going to plan this for the future. With a guy who had 4 years, 4 seasons ended by injury. 4. Like, Michael Penix is a walking injury. Like, what are you doing taking him in the top 10?
The Bostonian versus the book.
And now you have to qualify in these majors. You got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness. And I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now. And you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on sports.
All right, welcome in. A very happy Wednesday to you. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you being here as we get ready for about 5 Major League Baseball games that remain on the slate here tonight. 2 currently still in play. We've got 6 or 7 games that have already completed. We'll get you caught up with all of it here. We have plenty of Olympics going on. A lot of big headlines, including the men's national team, the NBA team, or NBA, I don't know, what do you call it, NBA 2 team in the Olympics. As you would imagine, a lot of people were tuning into that game early this afternoon, and what they witnessed was, yes, a beatdown of epic proportions. Should not come as a surprise, though, as they beat South Sudan, and they move on now in Group C with a 2-0 record. We'll have much more about this game and what does it mean moving forward coming up here this hour on the show, including a look ahead to the women's side when it comes to basketball. They've got a game coming up, which, again, nobody is anticipating is going to be a whole lot of problems for them, nor, since they have not lost an Olympic game since 1992, are we expecting a whole lot of resistance on the women's side on their way to another or 8th consecutive gold medal when it comes to women's basketball. We did, of course, see a whole lot of stuff going on here today, both good and, not so good when it comes to the Olympics and to Team USA. Coco Gauff is not having a good time. Let's just put that out there right now. As you can see, the updated medal count here. But Coco Gauff, my goodness, she lost again today in the mixed doubles side. Her and Taylor Fritz lost in 3 sets to Canada. This coming off the heels where she already lost earlier in the day in the women's doubles. And, of course, was eliminated from the women's single on Tuesday. So Coco Gauff not having a great Olympics by any stretch of the imagination. It's a good thing that Trinity Rodman has Team USA's back on the soccer pitch, because Team USA's women's soccer team is out standing. 2-1 win over Australia today. And that is what we are talking about as they win Group B. They will move on. In fact, they have scored 9 goals in this group stage, the most that the women's, and if you think about that, the history of the women's soccer team, certainly in the Olympic side, this is a pretty impressive group of women here to be able to win this 2-1, score 9 goals in the group stage. That is a record for them at the Olympics. And yes, they will be moving on. You may recall the U.S. beat Japan in the gold medal game, and that was a heck of a game back in 2012. The two faced off in the 2011 World Cup final, as well as the 2015 World Cup final, and they had split those matches, and it just seems like this is going to be an epic battle come Saturday as Team USA will take on a very familiar foe here in Japan. Looking forward to the women's soccer. And how about it for the old folks here in the Olympics? How about Katie Ledecky doing it again in the pool, capturing the gold medal in the women's 1,500-meter freestyle as she turned in, are you ready for this, a record-breaking time of 15:30.02. That is a new Olympic record. And now Ledecky also owns the top 20 times all-time in this event. Absolutely unbelievable job. She pretty much never trailed in that race either. She had a very sizable lead in the first 100 meters of the race, and really that ended up being all she needed because she never relinquished the lead or came close to relinquishing the lead in that. So with that win, Katie Ledecky's gold medal ties her with fellow Americans Dara Torres, Jenny Thompson, and Natalie Coughlin for the most medals ever by a female swimmer. And by the way, she'll have a chance to break that on Thursday when she competes in the 4x200 meter freestyle relay. Just absolutely epic. And I mean epic by Katie Ledecky showing up here, the old guard in the house, and she's still out there competing and breaking records. I mean, what a job by her. Congratulations to Katie Ledecky to get it done there. And also, at least we told you the women's side of tennis, not great. But the men's side, the U.S., I believe, eliminated the combination of Nadal Alcaraz in doubles quarterfinals. So kudos to the men's tennis side. We'll have a lot more on that coming up, as well as the golf is also getting ready to take center stage early tomorrow morning. In fact, 3 o'clock in the morning, and we'll have our good friend Brady Cannon stop by here in just a few to lay out some of those matches and some of the bets that he is looking at. In the meantime, we do currently have 2 Major League Baseball games still going. One, it just feels like a matter of time here as I believe they are in the top of the 8th inning right now. The Nats are trailing the Diamondbacks 5-2. Zach Gallen went for the Diamondbacks here today against Mackenzie Gore. But the Diamondbacks seem to have figured a few things out, and they are rolling right now. Kevin Ginkel in to try to close it here for the Diamondbacks. We'll see if they can get that done. In the meantime, boy, the Mariners and Red Sox, we played 2 football games to start this series, and today we got a 2-2 game heading into the 7th. Isn't that just the way it usually works here? Both teams have done a great job of beating the snot out of one another in the first 2 games of this series, but now we got ourselves a bit of a pitcher's battle here. So a close one, knotted up 2 apiece here. The story in the early games is going to be the New York Yankees. Have they finally turned a corner here in the second half of the season? Another victory for the New York Yankees today over, of all teams, the National League leading best Philadelphia Phillies. And they can thank, another old guard. How about DJ LeMahieu with a career-high 6 RBIs today? 6, as the Yankees won 6-5. It's now a 3-game sweep and a 5-game winning streak for them. Can they continue with this streak now? They added a couple of new pieces, And good old Nasty Nestor and his extra 20 pounds that he carries around the waist finally got himself his first road win this year. And the Yanks look like they are poised to make a run and life very difficult for the Baltimore Orioles, which, by the way, if we're being honest here, all of that hype around the Orioles and the trade deadline and all of these prospects and how they could have gone out and put total pressure on the Yankees, the Astros, the Guardians. They could have made a very big statement by going out and getting a Crochet, going out and getting a Tariq Skubal. They could have got a Blake Snell. They could have done a lot of things with that loaded farm system, and instead, they got Zach Eflin. And that, folks, may come back to bite them when it is all said and done. And the Yankees, well, they may have just done enough with the addition of Leiter and De Los Santos there in the bullpen. That could be enough as long as guys like LeMahieu and Volpe and Stanton, you get my drift? As long as these guys live up to what they're being paid to do, I think the Yankees will be just fine moving forward. We'll have much more on the remaining games coming up. We'll take a look there at Chicago and Cincinnati, Dodgers and Padres. And, of course, we'll talk a little men's team, NBA style, basketball in the Olympics. We'll get you updated when it is Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here, warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKFC's 56. Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, welcome back in-game live, and we are, well, not in-game live. We're Game Time Decisions. In-game live is coming up here at 8 o'clock here tonight because they are going to get you ready for the remainder of the Major League Baseball games. And, of course, we said overnight in the Olympics, golf is coming here, and there's an awful lot of people ready to roll in the golf market. Brady Cannon will come up and join us here in just about 12 minutes or so, but there's a lot else going on in the Olympics, including the United States men's team that was on the court against South Sudan. And joining us here, Kyle Irving of the Sporting News, who was no doubt watching this thing with bated breath going, oh, please, United States, do not throw up all over yourselves. It turns out, Kyle, there wasn't a whole lot to worry about in this game. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot to worry about in any particular game, but you know it's good when you got Bam Adebayo as your leading scorer. Embiid didn't start. Jason Tatum played finally. So this looked like a very feel-good kind of game. Did you get that, where all the pieces seemed to gel pretty well and an easy win?
I mean, they finally put it together, but it's almost like Steve Kerr is purposely giving us people in the media something to talk about after every game. After the first game, it's Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton don't play. Tatum gets slotted into the starting lineup. Joel Embiid gets a DNP coach's decision. So, someone's always going to be upset. And that just seems to be the nature with this team, even though they advanced to 6-0 overall 7-0 overall with their record and 2-0 in the Olympics. This is a team that has an abundance of talent. We already knew that. Their depth is absolutely ridiculous. Their second unit was so good. They scored 66 points out of the 103 total points that they scored today. So, that depth is glaring, but at the same time, it becomes an issue for Steve Kerr, who has to try and manage all these players and personalities. And, even when they win, it seems like, people have something to complain about.
It feels like his biggest obstacle, Kerr, is to just convince all of these mega superstars, right, that this is really only about one thing. It's about winning gold, right? Nothing else really did. Nothing of this is personal. Do you think if he can get that message across to everybody without anybody sulking, it will be the coaching job of the century? I still have my doubts, Kyle. How about you? But ultimately, that's got to be the message, right? None of this matters as long as we win gold, right?
Exactly. And I said it to you jokingly before we hopped on here. Like, he has the hardest and easiest job in the world simultaneously. It's like you're managing 12 of the best basketball players in the world, but you're also managing 12 of the best basketball players in the world, and they can't all play. They can't all start. So, he went with a different starting lineup in this game. He's already used 4 different starting lineups over the 7 games. He already said that he's going to go back to the same starting lineup that he used against Serbia, against Puerto Rico when they play on Friday. So, like you said, it's mostly managing personalities, because that no matter what product they put on the floor, it's going to be a product that is good enough to win games. It just depends on by how much, and, can they get it done pretty in the eyes of the media? Because as of right now, they're cruising. They haven't really been. South Sudan tested them a little bit in the exhibition game, but it feels like they've been cruising no matter what people want to say.
2 down, 4 to go is the mantra they're using right now. Puerto Rico up next, like you mentioned. What are we anticipating in this one? Much of the same, different combination, different starters. What do you think?
Yeah, so he said he's going to go back to the original starting lineup that we've seen the most, which is Stephen Curry, Devin Booker, Drew Holiday, LeBron James, and Joel Embiid. So after getting a DNP coach's decision, Embiid's going to be back in the starting lineup. This is a Puerto Rico team who relies very heavily on Jose Alvarado, who's, a backup guard for the New Orleans Pelicans. The Team USA roster has plenty of answers defensively for him, and he's been their main cog on offense. So I don't really see Puerto Rico giving this team much of a challenge. I think they're going to go undefeated into the group stage and probably end up as the number 1 overall seed, which, is extremely favorable, because then they will be on the opposite end of, let's call it either France or Germany, 2 teams that are playing really well and look like they're going to be, or Canada as well, that could end up as the number 2 seed in the knockout stage.
I'm glad you said that. There's a number of, hosts here on the network from Canada that were the bat phone was ringing the minute you excluded them, Kyle. All right, so we're not anticipating anything crazy going on there, especially against Puerto Rico. How about on the women's side? They have an interesting game coming up. But again, this is a team, the U.S. women's team has not lost a game since the 92 Olympics. It's laughable when you say it. And to think that they're going to do, I have some guys looking for props that they won't lose a quarter the rest of the way through. That's how ridiculous this team is. How good are they in your mind? Are they worth laying 23.5 points here coming up?
The Team USA women's squad, to me, is like, if that spread was minus 99.5, I feel like I'd feel safer taking them minus 100 than I would plus 99.5. They are so, you talk about the depth for the men's side. the depth on the women's side is even crazier. And I think what we saw in that first game the other day is that even if most countries don't have the size to match up with the front court that the women's side has, but even if they do, they're not skilled enough to keep up with players like Asia Wilson or Brianna Stewart. And, they're going up against a Belgium team that lost to Germany, who USA handled very easily in the exhibition round. So I would take them minus 23.5 pretty comfortably. I mean, that's a team that, again, you talk about it top to bottom. They just have so much more skill, so much more talent than every other country. They are an absolute lock to win gold. And like you said, to not lose another quarter, that feels like something that should not be doable. But for this team, feels like something that could be doable.
Who is the other team, though? I mean, if there's one squad up there that might throw in some resistance, is it France? Who is it here with the women's side?
I mean, it does feel, right at the top, it's teams like France and Australia that have, been battling for silver medals behind Team USA for years now. It feels like Spain as well. But, the depth is too much. The talent level is too much. Like they have, WNBA all-stars who aren't even really playing much or getting regular shot attempts the way that they would in the regular season that, they almost could just deploy at any point, kind of like we're seeing on the men's side as well. So, I would not feel comfortable even, wasting a single dollar on a different country other than the United States.
Yeah, don't do yourself a favor here. Gold, men and women's in basketball. Anything less than that is utter failure here. Kyle Irving, Sporting News, appreciate you dropping by, man. We've got plenty more, good news, plenty more basketball games and a lot of other countries to fade, apparently, here coming up. So it should be a good time. Enjoy the rest of the Olympics. Game Time Decisions. We'll be back talking a little Olympic golf next here on the Grid.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Early on the turn. Right hand from my buddy, double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday as we get ready to say goodbye to July. And August will be here tomorrow, in fact, and so will the return of the NFL. Okay, something very nice about that sound, right? The NFL will be back tomorrow. But before that, we've got plenty of Major League Baseball coming up here still tonight at a great day slate of games here. We've got 2 games still going on that are a lot closer now than teams expected here, as the Nats are putting on a fight here in the top of the 9th inning. Paul Sewald, the closer for the Diamondbacks, is in the game right now. He's already given up 1 run. C.J. Abrams on third, tying run up at the plate, only 1 out here, and now it's going to be first and third. 1 out, which means the go-ahead run is coming up to the plate. So the Diamondbacks bullpen here and their closer, Sewald, falling apart for the Diamondbacks. In the Mariners and Red Sox game, still knotted up at 2 apiece. A little bit of controversy here in the bottom of the 7th. Red Sox had first and second with 1 out, and there was a pop-up to in between the second and first baseman. It was an infield fly rule. However, the runner bumped into the first baseman, essentially not enabling him to make the catch. The second baseman made the catch. They called the runner out as well, so that was an ending double play, and the Red Sox they looked totally befuddled, had no idea what was going on. Arguments by Cora to no avail. The Mariners are now up in the top of the 8th inning. Kind of crazy what just happened there. In the meantime, we've got a couple of games getting ready to take center stage here at the top of the hour. The first one's going to be, of course, the Cubs taking on the Reds, the red hot Reds. In fact, Lodolo taking on Hendricks, and for all the crap that we have given Hendricks this year, and almost all of it has been deserved. Why? Because he really, when you throw 86 miles an hour, you probably shouldn't be a big league pitcher, but yet the Cubs keep rolling him out there. But to his credit, he's done a pretty good job here over the last couple of starts. Lodolo going for Cincinnati at home. They have had no problem scoring run. Will they or won't they have an opportunity to win yet another game remains to be seen here. But the Reds and the Cubs at the Great American Ballpark. That game is coming up at the top of the hour, as is, or I should say at the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to have Pirates and Astros. Some sort of Woodford bourbon. Oh, that's not bourbon. That's actually a pitcher. That's John Woodford will actually be pitching. Might as well be a bottle of bourbon pitching up against the Astros and Framber Valdez. That game coming up just after the 8 o'clock hour. And, well, listen, give the Pirates credit. Feisty. The Astros have let a couple of games get away from them here. Framber Valdez on the mound. They're a $2 favorite for a reason here. This one should be fairly easy, I think, for the Astros to get back on track. And then a lot of eyes are going to be on the Dodgers and the Padres. Padres get it done. Congratulations last night. Another win for the surging Padres, who made enough moves right now to have the best bullpen in all of Major League Baseball. Dylan Cease going up against Kershaw. And one thing you're going to hear a lot about is, how do pitchers do after throwing a no-hitter? And the answer is not great. But none of that really matters, because you have Clayton Kershaw in his second start after coming off the IL. I think he only threw 4 innings the first go-around, 70-some-odd pitches. The Padres are rolling right now, and they have all the confidence in the world. This is going to be a fun game to keep an eye on here. That is coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, and then you'll have Rockies, Angels, as well as another Subway Series in the Bay Area, the Athletics and the Giants, to round out the action today in Major League Baseball, and we'll keep you posted on all of it. We'll have much more to say on those games, as Kyle Freeland and Daniel going with the Rockies and the Angels. Stripling and Webb in the Bay Area are your late games, but we still have a 2-2 game with Seattle and Boston, which is going to be great. And believe it or not, we still just cannot get this Diamondbacks game over with yet. We're going to see, it looks like another pitching change coming for the Diamondbacks. Boy, oh boy, things got real close real quickly there. Diamondbacks giving it away, maybe. We'll let you know what happens when Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and I'm joined to talk a little Olympic golf here by my good friend Brady Cannon. Nobody, and I mean nobody, picks winners on this show like Brady does. In fact, if you have been following him all season long, you're probably retired. Good to see you, Brady. As always, my man, it is finally time. Feels like we've done swimming, canoeing, we got a little break dancing. I've actually handicapped here, and now we finally get to the fun stuff here with the golf. 60, right, of the world's best qualifying here in this, in what everyone says that this Le Golf National is one of the most gorgeous courses, and not exactly an easy course here. So what are we looking for as far as this goes with this course? Do the Europeans have the most experience with it? Should we be looking to give them an edge here?
Yeah, you know what, Joe? Actually, there's not a single American in this field. There's only 4 of them. None of them have ever played a competitive round of golf at Le Golf National.
Wow.
It was 2018 when the Ryder Cup was here, and none of these guys, Scheffler, Schauffele, Wyndham Clark, or Morikawa, were on that particular Ryder Cup team that ended up losing to Europe, by the way, that year. And then you've got the Open de France. You know what? I take that back. And this guy isn't necessarily American, but Tom Kim is a guy that, you know, kind of converted American, if you will. But he plays for South Korea. He's representing South Korea. He's here, and he has played this course recently. But none of the 4 players that are representing America this week have played this golf course before. So, yeah, I think it does favor the Europeans. The Open de France is a course that, or is a tournament that they've been playing at this course for literally 30 years. Since 1991, it missed a couple of years with COVID and all that other stuff. Alex Noren has won here. He's here representing Sweden. Tommy Fleetwood won the Open de France in 2017. He's here representing England. I mentioned the Ryder Cup. John Rahm was a part of that Ryder Cup team, as were Fleetwood and Noren. So, yeah, I think, you know, Joe, it's kind of interesting. It doesn't feel like a major, doesn't feel like a signature event on tour. It kind of feels like a Ryder Cup, where there's that global international feel. And, you know, would guys rather have a gold medal around their neck than a claret jug on their mantle? Probably not, but it's awful close. So it's a real, I think there's mindset and motivation this week. And then, of course, there's the basics when you crunch the numbers and see who's the best fit for this golf course. But Scotty Scheffler, he's won 6 times, including a major. Xander Schauffele already has a gold medal, and he's won 2 recent major championships. Are those guys like hell bent on getting a gold medal this week? I'm not so sure. I think it's more the guys that have had near misses or haven't won a major yet. Xander Schauffele, remember when he won the gold medal 4 years ago, he had never won a major. That was a huge deal for him. And I think there's a lot of guys in this field that feel like, you know what, this is one more grab or one more stab I can take this year at really pulling off a big win over everybody else in the world.
So Tokyo, right? Xander won gold. Rory Sabatini was a silver winner, and then there was like a 19 playoff. What was it? Is it sudden death? Because it felt like there were a dozen guys that were in sudden death for the bronze, and I think CT Pan ended up winning that. So this could end up being over the next 4 days. It could be a whole lot of fun, and we could get a whole lot of extra golf, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, the playoff could be really wild. And you're exactly right. Xander gets the gold. Rory Sabatini wins the silver, and CT Pan gets the bronze after emerging from a 7-player playoff. So if there's any sort of tie, if it's a tie for first, then they're going to play off for that medal, and it just trickles down. So, yeah, I mean, you see how it is on tour every week. A lot of times you don't have a tie for first, but for second or third, you might have a handful of guys in that spot. And you would think it would be more crowded with only 60 in the field. So, yeah, I really love the way this golf season is shaped up. A lot of times after the Open Championship, we get a little bit of a lull. But here we go, bang, major star-studded field on a global level. Then we go into next week, the last week of the regular season. You try and get into that top 70 in FedEx Cup points. Then the playoffs start. Yeah, it's a nice little last month of PGA Tour and international golf we've got on our hands.
So it's a 4-day stroke play event, right? 72 holes, first, second, and third, and possibly a playoff if there are ties here.
Right.
Who are you focusing on?
And no cut. No 36-hole cut.
And no cut, right. No cut.
Yeah.
So who are you focusing on?
I talked about kind of two sides to the handicap this week. Who really wants this? And it's hard to say. I mean, nobody doesn't want it. But who's really motivated here this week for a little piece of that close to major championship type pie? And then, of course, the numbers. Who makes sense for this golf course? And I first landed on Colin Morikawa, who's been Mr. Near Miss this entire season. He's been in the final pairing in a number of different tournaments and has come up just short, but he's playing ridiculously good golf. And has been that close all season long and is also a tremendous fit for this golf course. He's the most accurate guy in the world off the tee, and that's what you need here. Accuracy trumps distance. This course is pretty short, but the fairways are narrow, so that really plays into Morikawa's hands. And what a way to cap off a season that has been filled with near misses to say, you know what, I nailed that gold medal, and that's going to springboard me back into major championships next year. I think he's a real good candidate for a lot of different reasons. And then Jon Rahm, our guy last week that we landed on in-game after that opening round on Friday, I think that turned a corner for him, Joe. He played really well at the Open. He finally kicked down the door and got a win. It's been a struggle for him this year. This transition to live, I think he's finally starting to feel like he's Jon Rahm again. And what a better way to, you think there's anybody in the world that wants to beat Xander and Scotty more than this guy? I used to be number one. And now everybody's forgotten about me. Hey, I'm back. I just won and I'm going to win again. I like his, and he also, of course, checks a bunch of boxes. He's finished 10th here in 2017 at the Open de France and 5th in 2018, and also was successful at that Ryder Cup in 2018 as well. So I think Rahm makes a lot of sense. And Shane Lowry, 27-1. Guy bared the flag at the opening ceremonies for Ireland. Is there anybody, Joe, in this field that cares more about their country and a gold medal? Maybe not, than Shane Lowry. No. And lets the Open slip through his hands. This is a perfect way to reconcile that loss, right? I think Shane is really a hot cookie this week. And then Corey Connors, a guy that's finished top 10 in a number of major championships, been that close. He's like, okay, I haven't won a major yet, but here's an opportunity for the next best thing. Or something that's a really special equivalent. So and country pride. He's got the President's Cup coming to Canada in September. So I think there's a lot there. And then aside from all that, I went with a lot of course experience with a really good player, a guy that's played here 18 rounds in the Open de France. He's been here 5 times, never only missed 1 cut. He's had a top 16 finish, a top 10 finish. That's Thomas Dietrich, who's been an excellent player on the PGA Tour, finished 4th at the PGA, 14th at the U.S. Open. Like I say, more experience than anyone else in the field here at this golf course. And then I added, Patrick took all my plays there, made you that beautiful bracket. I can't speak.
Yep.
I added a couple more plays since then. I can't get enough Olympic golf. I added Joaquin Niemann and Tommy Fleetwood, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the fence with those 2 guys, and I spoke with a couple of guys earlier this morning, and they put me over on the other side of the fence. So 7 guys in total. I've added Fleetwood and Niemann to take gold.
And probably no more motivation than Benny On and Tom Kim, who, if they do manage to bring home a medal, they don't have to spend 2 years with military obligations back in their home country if they do. Motivation around the horn, Brady. I love it. Get some sleep because it's starting early here. Game Time Decisions continues here on the grid.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here, warriors, and I have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Early on the turn. Right hand from my Perry. Double check. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of Angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by. Good to see Brady Cannon as usual. But yes, if you are 3 a.m. Eastern time will be the opening tee times here as the 4-day event. Stroke play will begin in France with 60 of the best golfers in the world. But I can't think of any more motivation than what, and if you have not heard, 2 players from South Korea, Benny On and Tom Kim, are subject to a 2-year military obligation unless they win sporting medals in international competitions like the Olympics. Benny On's father won a bronze medal for China in men's table tennis doubles back in the '88 Olympics. His mother also won silver, so it runs in the family here. And boy, oh boy, this should be It's going to be interesting to see how these two guys do, Benioff and Tom Kim. I feel like I just want them to get the bronze, the silver and the bronze one way or the other. And if they do, kudos to them. But I can promise you there is no more motivation for two guys that are playing out of the 60 in here than Benioff and Tom Kim, who, if no medals here, will be expected to report for their 2-year military obligation at some point. I think it's going to be a great golf event, and Team USA is represented with the guys you want. Whether or not they're going to be able to get it done, that is a whole different story. But it begins tonight at 3 o'clock in the morning. And kudos to, well, not Paul Sewald of the Diamondbacks, but to Ryan Thompson, who had to come in and actually save it, but not without a sweat. Those of you that had the Diamondbacks here handling business after, 15, 18, nothing that game was last night. It was disgusting. The Nats almost came back to tie this thing up here, but they did not at Chase Field. Diamondbacks win 5-4 and close that game out. In the meantime, Mariners are up in the top of the 9th inning. It is still 2-2 right now against the Red Sox. So can the Red Sox hold them and then maybe walk this thing off here? Quite a difference from what we got in the first couple of games of this series, as it's knotted up at 2 apiece here. And as I am seeing the one and only Kenley Jansen on the mound to try to close this thing out for the Red Sox, or at least make sure he don't give up any runs and give his team an opportunity to get this done. Both teams almost have double digits left on base, runners on base. So the hits have not been what they have been the first couple of days here at Fenway. We do, again, have the Cubs and the Reds. That is going to be the next game coming up here tonight as we look for Lodolo. And I'm being told now here that there is a delay in this game. It looks like the weather at the Great American Ballpark has pulled this game off the board. No word yet. We'll let you know if anything pops up here, but it appears that game is going to start a little bit later here with Hendricks and Lodolo as a possible weather delay happening in that one. And I still think that should be a pretty good battle early on. But I do like the Reds to sweep the Cubs, who are going in the wrong direction. And listen, we all thought the Reds would make that next step this year. And it's not for a lack of talent. They just have been extremely inconsistent at the plate. This is a team that was one of the more profitable teams last year and even the year prior. The one thing you could always count on with the Cincinnati Reds was overs at the Great American Ballpark. That is a hitter's ballpark. This year, not so much. A lot more unders than overs early on in the season for the Reds here. Why? They just could not get the hits. They just could not put it together. They'll have an opportunity to keep winning games. And let's face it, I don't know anybody that's just handing the Central to Milwaukee, but they are still very much alive in what could be a big race to that final wild card spot between a team like them, Pittsburgh, who is also making some noise and also getting ready for a big game here tonight against the Houston Astros. And if you had the Pittsburgh Pirates making the playoffs, well, kudos to you. I did not. I still don't. But there may be one or two people at this network that feel like the Pirates are still very much alive in this thing. I had said it. I did think the Cardinals had an opportunity here to make a run. They crushed the Texas Rangers earlier today, 10-1. So they handled business again last night. They got beat in the first game of the series, but they won the next two. It'll be interesting to see what the Cardinals can do here moving forward. And Milwaukee has made some trades. They've kind of geared up here to give themselves an opportunity to coast, but that's not going to work. Devin Williams back in the bullpen for the Brewers, and guess what? They lost again to the surging Atlanta Braves, 6-2 tonight. They ended up getting it done. They, too, won the first game. The Milwaukee Brewers at home lost the next two. So not a great situation by any means there for the Milwaukee Brewers, who are having to battle just to be able to keep that top spot in the National League Central. Get ready for Pittsburgh, though. Could they? Won't they? Woodford on the mound. He was promoted from AAA Indy on Tuesday. Boy, oh boy. He was also designated for assignment from, of all teams, are you ready for this? The Chicago White Sox. The Chicago White Sox could not find a spot for him. The White Sox. I'll just let that marinate there, and then we'll come back. As the Pittsburgh and Houston game will be in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll have much more to go, though, as I really like this Padres battle tonight here with Dylan Cease taking on Clayton Kershaw. A battle of number ones. I think it should be a fantastic ride. We'll have some more information and numbers on that game when we come back as Game Time Decisions continues here on the grid. Come back and join us.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments. Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Left hand from Rockhold. Right hand right back from Mike Perry.
Can I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man? It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network as we look to wrap up this first hour together as Kenley Jansen just drilled a Seattle Mariner to put him on base here in a 2-2 game, top of the ninth. And now it looks like Cal Raleigh, the serious home run threat on the Seattle team coming up. Boy, oh boy, I feel like we've seen this movie before with Kenley Jansen. We'll see what happens here as Randy Arozarena ends up getting hit by a pitch. He's on first. 2-2 game. There is only, looks like there's now 2 outs. So we do have 2 outs. So let's see what happens in this game. We will keep you posted there. We had told you earlier today, in case you missed it, the Yankees, once again, just rolling, sweeping the Philadelphia Phillies here. And when you look at the big picture and future markets for some of the some of the Yankees right now, including somebody like a Aaron Judge, and whether or not he is going to get to 60 or more home runs. This is a prop we have been talking about and discussing on the shows for a while now, trying to figure out whether or not he's certainly on pace when he hit 37 in the first half, and he still has a pretty big chunk of games to be able to get to. So will he get over 60 and a half? Will he get over 63 and a half? Both of these numbers have been moving, ironically enough, over the last week and a half. And I am seeing Aaron Judge right now for that regular season home runs over 60 at about 2-1. That's an interesting number. 63 or more coming in at plus 440 for good old Aaron Judge here. The question is, how many of us believe that Aaron Judge can go over 63? I for one, think if you bet one, if you think he's going to get 60 or more, there is a good chance it does not stop there. The market is continuing to get fed into this, and who can blame him? The guy is a absolute machine this year. Not only is he's got 39 home runs, he's got 99 ribbies, he's hitting .319. The only reason I didn't play him for the Triple Crown, which I think he's going to be a little bit short there. He's certainly, I think, in the conversation. Well, he is the MVP. Let's be reasonable. But the only reason that I didn't give him the Triple Crown is because Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have a higher batting average than Aaron Judge, bar none. I think Aaron Judge is going to hit a point at the end of this regular season in which absolutely nobody will be pitching to him. If the games mean anything, they will not allow Aaron Judge to beat him. So I do like him for MVP. I like him both over 60 and over 63. And then his counterpart on the National League side there, Shohei Ohtani, I like him for the Triple Crown. I think there are worse bets you can make on the board than expecting Shohei to remain healthy as DH, lead the National League in not only home runs, but also lead them in RBIs and batting average. Worth a stab at that price, I can tell you now, because if anybody can turn it on, he can. And the Dodgers have been so inconsistent that they are going to be forced to have to play a lot of meaningful baseball right through to the end of the regular season. And hopefully they'll be able to get Mookie Betts back in company, and they'll be able to get it done. But clearly, they're still the National League West favorites. I'm not buying that, though. I think the Padres are very much alive in this race. You saw it last night. And again, until Max Muncy can get back up to speed, until Mookie Betts gets back, this is a very strange group and lineup from game to game. And now they've tried to make some additions with the bullpen and the pitching, getting Jack Flaherty. But I found it very interesting that the Yankees could have had Flaherty but couldn't get past his medicals. And I think a big reason as to why that is, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Flaherty, but I think when the Yankees traded for Frankie Montas, if you recall, and when they got Frankie Montas, they kind of looked past the medicals and was like, no big deal, he'll be fine. The inflammation's nothing. Yeah, well, as it turned out, Frankie Montas is now on his third team since that trade. I'm not shocked the Yankees were cautious, but the Dodgers may have been less cautious, and that may come back to bite them with Flaherty. We'll have to wait and see. We'll talk more MLB next hour here as Game Time Decisions continues on the Grid.
incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions, off and running here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we had a lot of day baseball today in the major leagues. However, one game remains, bottom of the ninth, the Boston Red Sox trying to walk this one off. Jarren Duran on up at the plate here as Seattle and the Sox are tied at 2-2. 2 outs here, bottom of the ninth, so it looks very much like extra baseball could be on the way. We are also awaiting, they had a little bit of a weather delay, but it looks like the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds at the Great American Ballpark are getting ready to start that game in the final game of a 3-game set as the Reds have, well, they've taken the first 2 games of this series at home, and they've done it rather easily, really starting to finally live up to the hype around this lineup. However, both of these teams remain in the bottom of the National League Central standings. We did see Cincinnati sell off some pieces at the deadline. Is it a big white flag? Some guys, some Reds fans will say no, but they do sit at 52 and 55. They are 9 games out of the division and 5 out of the National League wildcard race. Still 50 some odd games to go here. The Cubs on the other side, 51 and 58. 11 games out of the division, 7 out of the wild card. I think it's safe to say that, yes, I would not anticipate a whole lot of push here from the Cubs. Lodolo going for the Reds here tonight, and he has pitched pretty good for him so far this year. He's 26 years old, 3.45 ERA, 3.47 expected ERA on the year, 73rd percentile in getting swing and misses here. He is very good when it comes to getting guys to chase and to miss pitches. You can see his strikeout prop right there, hovering around 5.5. I think that number happens to be a little bit too low in this particular spot. I do like him to have more than 5.5 strikeouts in this one. And when you're looking at Hendricks, again, Hendricks is not good. He's 34 years old. He's got almost a 7 ERA on the season. But the problem with him is that when he is on, he's really good and he can get you back. He has not been on a lot this year. He also gives up more walks and more home runs this year than he has in his entire career, which is why his ERA is through the roof. You would think a guy that allows a ton of quality contact like that might be a guy in which you say, why don't we look at the Reds team total over and expect them to have some success here? He's always been a ground ball pitcher, He does give up a ton of ground balls here, but the problem is the balls that he does get up leave the ballpark. And the Reds have been swinging the bats really, really well. I think maybe the best way to look at this, and I don't know what the number is, but Ellie De La Cruz over a half a steal might not be a bad look, as he's got almost 60 on the year, and it feels like he's going to get at least another one, if not two, here tonight, as Hendricks does allow a lot of runners, but he also doesn't keep them on base an awful lot. I don't trust anybody to throw him out in this one here. With the Cubs not being able to handle the bats and not be able to drive in a whole lot of runs, it's kind of hard. This number was up to is 9.5 right now. That feels like a big number, especially if Lodolo is able to handle his business here. That is a big, big number. If you need double-digit runs and you're expecting the Cubs to help you out here, I don't know I can trust that. I do anticipate the Reds getting some runs, so I'll go with their team total up and over here at 4.5, 5.5, somewhere in that ballpark. I just don't think Hendricks is a Major League Baseball pitcher, and yet they continue to roll him out there. So I'm going to be a little cautious and just go the other way. We do have plenty of night baseball coming up. Our good friend Mark Zinno, we're going to run down some of these games, including the Dodgers and the Padres, Houston and Pittsburgh. And we also have the late night games there with Colorado, who is apparently, last I checked, still in the yes, okay, they're still a Major League Baseball franchise. They're taking, are the Angels still a major? The Angels are still a Major League franchise as well for now. And the A's, we all know about the A's, but they're taking on the Giants, who under no circumstances wanted to get rid of you-know-who. They got Logan Webb on the mound here tonight, and will that be enough to beat the red-hot Oakland A's, who have been crushing the ball? Well, we're going to have to see here. We'll see what Zinno thinks on that front. If you are just joining us here today, the Olympics, what a day for Team USA, and what a day for the legendary Katie Ledecky, who wins again a historic gold medal in the pool in the 1,500 meters. That is now 12 medals for her, and that ties the most medals won by a female swimmer in the history of the Olympics. I mean, it does not get any better than this. She absolutely crushed the 1,500 meters. She also set a new Olympic record with it in the time. She also set the record in the 2020 Tokyo Games. So it just could not have gone any better for Katie Ledecky and Team USA in the pool today. And also, she will have an opportunity to surpass those other competitors that she is now tied with the amount of medals. She will have an opportunity to have first place all by herself. 13 medals. I believe that is coming up in a couple of days in the women's 400-meter freestyle. So that should be a lot of fun to watch. Team USA, as far as the men goes, they handled their business on the basketball court here today, and that should shock absolutely nobody. The thing that was shocking about it is that Team USA did it with Bam Adebayo off the bench as your leading scorer over South Sudan, 103-86. They did not, I repeat, did not cover the spread of, I believe, was 20, it came down to 29.5. They did not cover it, but Bam Adebayo did not care. What a game for him. 18.7 boards. Led Team USA. They never surrendered the double-digit lead that they had outside of the first quarter. They were just tremendous. And, in case you're wondering, yes, Jason Tatum played and started. And he was also pretty good here. The entire team was good there. Anthony Davis started in place of Joel Embiid. So we had a great team effort over a South Sudan squad that, let's not forget, a week ago, we were all scratching our heads as LeBron had to go nuclear in order to be able to even win by 1 point in that one. But they are ready to roll 2-0, 4 more games to go, including the next one against Puerto Rico, as you can see here, 11 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time on the 3rd. But it's all about the gold. And I am not anticipating this to be a very competitive game against Puerto Rico. But from that point on, they'll finish the group stage 3-0, and then they'll have the knockouts. And the competition is going to be interesting from that point on. So kudos to Team USA today with the Olympics. Katie Ledecky again setting records. And Team USA, the men's basketball team, gets it done. We'll have much more on the Olympics coming up. Golf starts tonight in the morning, early in the morning, 3 a.m. Eastern time. Lot to look forward there, and more gold medals is what we are looking for Team USA. We'll talk the Major League Baseball with Mark Zinno next year on Game Time Decisions.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be historic indeed for BKFC's 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
That's correct. All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this final day of July. Cannot believe it. August is right around the corner. So is the NFL. We got a Hall of Fame game on tomorrow. And who doesn't love August and football? Because that means it is back. In fact, just 3.5 weeks, we'll have ourselves some Florida State football in the start of week 0 in college. But make no mistake about it, we got a lot to finalize here in Major League Baseball. And for everyone that has stuck a fork in everybody in the National League West except the Dodgers, well, you may want to reconsider here as we welcome in our good friend Mark Zinno here, who just has fallen in love with the game of baseball all over again over the last couple of weeks. Loves it more than you folks will ever know. And when he has an opportunity to fade the Dodgers, nothing makes him happier as a Yankee guy. Who, by the way, did you catch the Yankee game earlier today, Zin? Did you happen to see the sweep?
They swept the Philadelphia Phillies. Like, that was not on my bingo card in any size, way, shape, or form. So, look, they're hitting again. Like, that's what whether you want to say it's Jazz Chisholm or just they're getting. I mean, DJ LeMahieu, who for 3 months couldn't hit water out of a boat.
Nope.
I mean, he couldn't hit cash in a piggy bank. Like, this guy was terrible. And he hits a grand slam today. Like, it's just unreal.
Yep. 6 ribbies and Nasty Nestor and the extra 20 pounds around the waist got his first road win of the year. So, hey, listen, there's ebbs and flows to every Major League Baseball season. As much as we were crushing the Yankees, and they were still 18 games over 500 and not playing their best baseball. So if you pick your spot, if this is the point moving forward where you got that out of your system, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds here. We do have extra innings, Boston and Seattle still, by the way, 2-2. Were you leaning one way or the other in this game?
I said it was over or pass. I passed. I thought they were going to continue to score runs at the rate that they had the first 2 games in this series, especially with Brian Bello on the mound, who gives up, almost 6 runs a game, but Red Sox are scoring almost 6 runs a game for him. So I was kind of surprised to see this one stay under. I mean, I know Kirby's been good, but he's not as good on the road as he has been at home this year. So I thought we were getting runs again. Obviously, glad I passed on the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's and they are now into the top of the 10th inning, still first and third. We'll see how that goes. Reds Cubs getting ready to start here. They're the tarp is still on the field, but they think the rain is going to go away. I don't know how Kyle Hendricks is still a pitcher in Major League Baseball, but the Cubs keep rolling him out there. Lodolo for Cincinnati. Were you leaning one way or the other in this one?
I know the Reds are going for a sweep, and you try not to play into those all that often, but I'm going to back Nick Lodolo and the Reds here. They're 10-5 when he starts this season. And Kyle Hendricks, 7.49 ERA on the road this year. He's given up 11 home runs in 10 games on the road. Hendricks has allowed 15 home runs to opponents as a starter this year, and they're batting .310 against him. Opposing hitters have an .871 OPS. I'll play the full game here because it's cheaper than the first 5, and if the Reds don't take advantage of Hendricks early, I probably don't trust them to come back late, even if the Cubs bullpen is a little bit shaky. But the Reds have the better bullpen here, so if they get a lead, in theory, they should be able to hold on to it here. But, for a team that the Reds continues to make us scratch our heads because of their positive run differential and they're 4 or 5 games below 500. This is the kind of game that you need them to win tonight. I need them to win tonight. But yeah, they get the right starters that play into where I want to go with Lodolo versus Hendrick.
Yeah, I kind of like that. You have, and go figure here. I thought it was a bottle of bourbon pitching for Pittsburgh tonight, but it's not. No. You said you don't play into the sweeps much, but if for some strange reason Pittsburgh is in a spot where they can win again against Houston, Framber is on the mound. It feels like run line Houston. Are you that confident or no?
No, just because I don't like the price, but I feel like yes. I mean, if you're going to do it, you're probably going to have to lay the 1.5. But as you said, Woodford, good bourbon. Jake, bad pitcher. And right. The Houston Bats, for me, are what I'm focusing on here. Their team total over 4.5. They're too good at home to be held down for a third straight game. They scored just 2 runs or 3 runs in the first game against Paul Skeens and lost. They scored just 2 runs last night against Bailey Falter and lost. This is a team that's top 5 in runs per game at home this season. They should have a breakout game against Woodford, who's got a 10.8 ERA and a 2.4 whip in his 2 starts this season. In fact, was DFA'd, picked up by the Pirates and getting a chance to get a start here. If the Houston Bats get shut out for a third straight game where they've scored just a total of 5 runs in the first 2, I mean, I got to tip my cap to this shaky Pirate staff other than Paul Skeens and a bad bullpen. But I think Houston finally gets it right tonight, goes over 4.5.
Yeah, I like that too. Framber has not allowed more than 3 earned runs since the middle of June. He's really started to figure it out, shook the rust off there. It feels like this game is, it's going to be one-sided in there. Don't know what to do. I said in the beginning here, Zen, that everyone has just handed the Dodgers the National League West. Stranger things have happened here. That was a hell of a come-from-behind win by the Padres yesterday. It's not like they're up 13 games on the Padres here, and the Padres just traded for what could be the best bullpen in all of Major League Baseball by far. Dylan Cease, Kershaw. Kershaw's a 4-inning pitcher here, by the way. You trust the LA bullpen to lock down the Padres late in this game?
I mean, look, when I see a 7 and I see 6.5 floating out there, like part of me is like, just take the over. Like, this is just it's too low. I mean,
exactly.
I hate to be a contrarian. Cease is coming off a no-no, so you know he's going to get touched up again. And Kershaw not going deep in this game, and the Dodgers bullpen, like, 7? All I got to do is get to 7 for a push and get out of there? Come on. I don't know. You know, if you're going to take an under, you got to play first 5. That's it.
That's it, right? You just got to go in the first 5. Well, we got a couple of games I know people are salivating over. Oakland, San Francisco, and Colorado Rockies taking on the Angels. These are monster games that mean absolutely nothing in the scope of things, but we've got a handicap for you, and we're going to share it with you when Game Time Decisions continues here on the grid.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here, warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions on this final day of July. Yes, let that sink in here. But before we can even turn the page to August in football, we've got to talk Angels baseball here. And nobody better to lay it out here tonight than the one and only Mark Zinno, who without a doubt loves himself some Angels and Colorado Rockies here tonight. Although I got to tell you, the Angels absolutely put the smackdown last night here. Freeland on the mound for Colorado. Daniel going here. It feels like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why not get an over? I don't think either pitcher is going to be able to shut anybody down in this one. It does feel like a good over spot here in this one with these two teams, no?
I mean, sure. There's a couple of ways to look at when it comes to the total. It says play the first 5 over 4.5 because you know my old theory. They ain't scoring early, they ain't scoring late. But
Yep.
These are two of the absolute worst bullpens in baseball in terms of
Mhm.
ERA, in terms of home runs allowed, in terms of everything. Like, they're just pathetically bad. So from that standpoint, it's like you don't want to take those out when you're trying to get over a total here and just leave it up to the starters. So, yeah, over 8.5 doesn't feel like the bad play. I mean, even if they only get 3 or 4 runs in the first 5, you're like, still got a lot of game left with some really bad bullpens.
Yeah, you really, the runs, I think, are certainly coming in this one. What about the Subway Series last night? Oakland just refuses to lose games now, which is hysterical to me here, but my goodness.
I mean, highest OPS against lefties, I think, the entire month of July, even though Logan
What
Webb's
is
right.
that?
Yeah. We talked about this at the beginning of the year. I remember you and I had this conversation. We talked about the A's win total at like 59, 54 and a half, whatever it was. And I'm like, come on.
Yep.
How is the world not betting the over? There's no way they're not going to win 58 games. No way.
Yep.
And you're like, I don't know. They could be pretty pathetic. Oh, I'm sorry. That turned out to be the White Sox, not them.
Yeah.
So I would kind of attack this differently and maybe see if I can look at a Giants team total over just because, I look at this and I go, the Giants have a chance to get to Stripling here pretty easily. With a 6.2 ERA and a 1.58 whip. So, that's the way I would attack this.
I don't hate that at all. I think there's going to be some runs early, but really the Athletics, I think, also have become a team where, hey, listen, you parlayed 4 home runs, and J.P. Sears looked unhittable last night, which is pretty funny, in the opener. So it's really home run or bust. The Giants, that whole stadium is not usually a great hitter's ballpark. The total is still hovering around 7.5 here. Team totals are not a better way to go, but Webb should be able to keep the ball in the ballpark. It does feel like a full game under in this one as well, because I trust Webb of all the Giants here at this point. I think he's the one guy that can probably keep this ball in the ballpark, in a ballpark that doesn't score a lot of runs here. Why not under 7.5?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Again, when you evaluate what is here, it's just that the A's have been hitting the ball so well as of late, right? I mean, Logan Webb feels like a safe bet at home because he's been so good at home this year that it's not, you don't want to go against him. But his last couple of starts at home really kind of, brought his ERA up a little bit higher. I mean, he did give up, 7 runs against Toronto at home. That kind of ballooned his numbers up a little bit. Hurt things, So I don't know. I just, since, including even in the All-Star game, he gave up 3 runs in that thing as well. So he's given up 7, 3, 4, 4 in his last 4 times pitching, including the All-Star game. It's like, I'm a little bit concerned about backing an under spot here with both of these pitchers on the mound.
Yeah, I'm just looking too now. 4.5 is the first 5 totals, and worth a shot if we're worried about the bullpens being a hot mess since the Oakland A's pretty much traded away their setup man, their 8th and 9th inning. Well, Mason Miller's hurt, but it feels like if Webb can limit the damage, Giants can get a couple of runs, and we're still under 4.5 in the first 5 at a decent price.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way you look at it, right? Like, if you attack the first 5 and they're not hitting early, guess what? Because if they go over that, the game for the total is probably going over regardless.
Totals. Screwed anyway. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep, love it. All right, Zin, enjoy the games, man. We appreciate the time as always. Game Time Decisions will continue here next on the Grid.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fight. It was a big night of memorable moments.
an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. Appreciate you stopping by. And again, it is the final day of July. That is right. We'll say goodbye here in a couple hours. We'll welcome in August. That means we're also welcoming in the NFL and football. And when it comes to NFL, nobody, and I mean nobody, has their finger on the pulse better than our man Adam Kaplan stepping in here and joining us. And Adam, I can't believe, first of all, July is about to be done with. August is here, and we've got some sort of football game coming up, and Thursdays will not look the same for a long, long time now. It's where is the time going? I feel like we do this every year. It gets shorter and shorter.
Yeah, look, we got the Hall of Fame game, and it's too bad it's not a regular season game because, boy, the Bears-Texans, everyone would want to see that. But yeah, look, I leave it a big training camp tour, and I'll be with two teams tomorrow. Then I'm out west. It's football, you know. It's hot weather. It's football. Yeah. We love it, Joe, and it's just it never stops. But as you said, Thursday, right? So after this game goes off, we're not off from football until February.
Yeah, and we are extremely happy about it. Also happy, DJ Moore. The Bears locked him up, a historic deal here. I think this is what, $110 million, 4 years. I think he becomes the only wide receiver ever to have all sorts of guaranteed money here. Am I crazy in thinking he's worth it, or am I missing something?
Okay, so let me explain the deal that Drew Rosenhaus and his brother Jason did for DJ Moore. So DJ Moore, Joe, 3 years ago signed an extension in March of 22. With his former team, the Panthers. That was his first extension. Then you fast forward now to 2024. As you said, it's late July here. So here's why he needed to get a new deal. That was a deal that's sort of outdated. I know you go just over 2 years into a third year. How could it be outdated? Well, Justin Jefferson making over $35 million a year. CeeDee Lamb's going to want that deal, right? So DJ Moore had a phenomenal season. When you really look at it, with all the issues with the problems with Justin Fields and the accuracy, very up and down. Fields very spectacular, and the next week not so good. Well, he was able to overcome that the best that he could. He had a great season, and they know that DJ Moore's an absolute stud. So I think Rosenhaus was smart to get this deal. He keeps the guaranteed money going. By the way, the guaranteed money, I had to look at his previous contract earlier today. The previous contract, there was no guaranteed money left past the season. In fact, there was only $1.1 million left in guaranteed. One player having to think about, oh, geez, what happens if I get hurt? And that's what happened.
How confident are you he's going to be He's going to be able to put those numbers up. He's got a new rookie quarterback, right? He's got a whole lot of new faces in Chicago. How confident are we that he can continue to elevate his game? A guy was phenomenal with nobody throwing him the ball, like you said last year. Does his game elevate here?
You know, it's interesting. So they had Keenan Allen, right, who's on the final year of his deal.
Mm-hmm.
And Keenan Allen's going to be that slot receiver most likely. They're actually pretty deep, Joe. In fact, I was joking with someone locally in Chicago a couple weeks ago that this is probably the most offensive talent. We're talking about quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end, and probably offensive line that we've seen with the Bears in about 30 years. So the expectations, I get it. Their win total by the books, 8.5. Everybody seems to like the over. That's where the money is. People like Eberflus to be the head coach of the year, the coach of the year, which I think is a little bit forward thinking.
Yep.
But getting back to DJ Moore, you're right to bring this up. Caleb Williams, a rookie quarterback. He has to learn this new scheme with Shane Waldron. Wants more of a West Coast scheme. That's not the scheme that Caleb Williams played in last season at USC under Cliff Kingsbury. So it's going to be an adjustment. I think that numbers will be affected by DJ Moore, but I was just blown away by DJ Moore with all the issues that they had at quarterback last season. To do what he did was fantastic. He's an absolute stud.
I mean, to think about the numbers he's put up with the quarterbacks he's had to play with in his career, this is going to be interesting. That leaves, in my estimation, Chase Higgins, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, Amari Cooper. Those are the remaining wide receivers, Adam, that are still hoping and awaiting new deals. Do any of them get him?
Yeah, I'm expecting Lamb to. I have for months because now that we have the Jefferson numbers in, everybody could say, and a lot of people say this, well, Jefferson's a better football player. I would agree with that, but it doesn't really matter. It's about production. Whenever you do contracts and talking to contract negotiators, Joe, it's about production. And CeeDee Lamb has put up massive numbers. He deserves to get a big deal. I get it. He's not a free agent. He's under contract. Well, Justin Jefferson was not going anywhere. He was still under contract, and they know that the Vikings knew they had to do something, and they took care of him. And by the way, the structure that the Vikings did on that contract was not usually the way they do it. I give the Vikings all the credit in the world. They went outside of their comfort zone and gave an they did a historic deal with Justin Jefferson. And Lamb's a phenomenal football player, probably a little bit better than we thought originally. Now, Cooper got an adjustment on his contract. Ayuk is a victim of circumstance. It's a shame because he's got to deal with George Kittle. He's got to deal with Deebo Samuel. Oh, by the way, the 49ers drafted Ricky Pearsall. I'm told he's back from his hamstring.
Yeah.
They may limit him a little bit in practice this week, but he had a really good offseason in the OTAs, I'm told. Oh, and by the way, Juwan Jennings, they extended his contract to number 3 receiver. Oh, Christian McCaffrey, one of the best receiving backs in NFL history. That's why he's not getting the contract that he wants.
Right. When you look at it at that perspective, it's no wonder why here. What do we do if CeeDee Lamb is going to get paid? What happens to Dak? By the way, what is your future reading on that?
It's going to be
get
hard.
paid? Is he a lame duck?
No. Well, I got to tell you, it's going to be very, very hard because if you look at the situation, if he gets a deal done, it's 57 to 60 million. Right? If they did it this week, right? It's got to be 55. He's been a long-term starter. These guys who just got these deals, Jordan Love got 55 million a year. He started 1 year, and it was great. And Pharrell knows on Coast to Coast how much I love Jordan Love, but that's on 1 year. When you look at Trevor Lawrence, he's coming off a down year, got 55 million a year. So Dak obviously has a great argument to get to 57 to 60 million. And obviously, if he waits, you could get more than that. It's up to him, but they'd like to extend it. It's not going to be easy. I expect Lamb to get that deal done first, and we'll see after that. And don't forget about Micah Parsons, who if it gets done, is going to be the richest player in NFL history on defense. He's an absolute superstar.
Yeah, and well worth every penny that they're going to pay him there. You're a big Jordan Love. Might be the best and most lucrative 8 games a quarterback has ever played in order to get that $55 million. But what is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
All right, so last year, I was very surprised. They were the only team to not have a vested veteran at receiver, but I give Brian Gutekunst credit. A lot of people around the league, who's their GM, a lot of people were kind of surprised by that, but Love grew into the job. You talk about his second half. No quarterback played better. What's funny about it, he didn't have a great training camp where you were wondering, okay, who is this kid? But I point to that Detroit game on Thanksgiving. He was phenomenal. He never stopped. It was unbelievable, that playoff game. So what's the ceiling? Look, he had 36 combined touchdowns, 32 passing, 4 rushing. He absolutely is capable of putting up 40-plus passing. Why? Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're legit 5 deep at receivers. 7 bona fide pass targets, Joe. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback. Absolutely could be a top 5 quarterback.
They always say, right, that you need to see that jump at year 3. You need to something clicked with that kid, and that was lights out. Goodbye. And who the hell are you, Green Bay, to have 12 decades of great quarterback players? Unbelievable. Adam Kaplan, enjoy. Football is back, brother. I appreciate it. Game Time Decisions will be back next here on the Grid.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. As we wrap up this edition here, we're going to have top of the hour, of course, in-game live primetime coming your way. Still got a couple of great baseball games on tap here. We'll be looking forward to the Dodgers and the Padres, a big battle there for the National League West, and Pittsburgh going for it here. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thought we would be saying, hey, the Pirates are actually going to make a run at a playoff spot here? But that is the world we live in. And only person I know more confused than I is George Kurtz. And he joins us here on Game Time Decision. And we appreciate that, George. Not that you don't often look confused, but the idea that Pittsburgh this time of year is still viable. They didn't make any big splashy moves, but they made moves, Kurtz. Like they made those fringe moves of a team that knows its limitations, but hey, we're going to go for it here. I think it's great for baseball. I think it's great for the city of Pittsburgh. I think having Paul Skeens has really changed the whole trajectory of this organization. They're about to sweep Houston. Will they sweep Houston tonight? Why not? We've seen crazier things.
We have seen crazier things, right? And I am right behind you, Joe. Love the fact that Pittsburgh is involved, right? That they made the move. They get De La Cruz, who's a good power hitter. It's what they need there.
Yep.
But you said it's more the future for Pittsburgh. Skeens, Keller, Jared Jones. We're sort of forgetting about Jared Jones, who's throwing again, by the way. Could be back in the rotation 2 weeks, give or take here. So, I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. I don't know if it matters, by the way. It'd be great for Pittsburgh to make the playoffs, but and they'll be a team that, let's face it, let's just say for giggles, they get in. You play them, and they can get past the wild card. You play them in a 5-game series. Skeens, Jones, Keller. Oof. That's not fun. Right? That's not fun. Nope. Not fun at all here. So they would be somewhat dynamic here, but the future is bright for Pittsburgh. All right? If they make the right moves, if they can get another bat or two, I think this will be a very dangerous team.
So we saw earlier today, and we talked a lot during the week about the trade deadline. And we all thought that it's going to begin and end with Baltimore because they're the one with the most assets, the most ability to be out and send a pretty big message, right? You go out, get a Snell, a Scooble, you go out and, crochet. You're sending a message, a big, loud message here that you are in it to win it this year. And then the trade deadline comes by and, nothing. You got Eflin. Okay, congratulations. They brought up Jackson Holiday today for the second time, and he ends up getting a grand slam and crushing it. So maybe this time will be different. But are you as disappointed as I am with Baltimore? What could have been, what should have been, what in the hell are you waiting for?
Once again, I agree with you. Am I disappointed? Disappointed might be a strong word. I think it's unfortunate. They have all the prospects in the world. They could have gotten anybody they wanted. Now, for all we know, Detroit's like, you want Scooble or we want Holiday. And it was never going to happen, all right? They weren't going to give up Holiday. They kind of deal for that. And by the way, Detroit would be right in asking for Holiday. So I would have no problem with Detroit doing that as well here. But the price for Scooble may have been outrageous here. But I would have liked to have seen Baltimore get that, maybe not number one, but a good game 2 starter for the playoffs here. And I just don't think Eflin's that. They did pick up Trevor Rogers as well, but he's certainly not a game 2 starter there. So I would have liked to have seen them do more. I would have liked to have seen them being on one of the closers. I know Scott went for, wow, what San Diego paid for him. I get that. But, Finnegan was out there. He didn't get traded. You didn't get him. Kimbrel's not going to get it done. All right, you think Kimbrel's going to be your closer in the playoffs? I got bad news for you. All right, so that's my worry there. I think they should have gone for it. There's no great team in the American League. Baltimore, Yankees, Cleveland, you want to throw Houston and Seattle in here? These are all teams. I wouldn't be shocked if any of them came out of the American League. Baltimore could have put themselves, I think, head and shoulders above the rest if they were willing to move on from some of those prospects here. And speaking of prospects, by the way, they lost Westberg today. He got hit, fractured his hand. He's out until late in the regular season here. So we might see another prospect. We might see Mayo get called up for Baltimore.
Yep. Yeah, that's and it's a good thing you're loaded in the minor leagues because you're going to need some help here moving forward. Right now, the Cubs, a big 2-run lead here at the Great American Ballpark over the Reds. Hendricks against Lodolo. Were you leaning one way or the other in this one?
You know where I'm leaning here. I'm going to keep betting against Hendricks till I get it right one of these days. All right. So,
I agree.
I don't know what Hendricks and Corbin. I don't know what these guys Fountain of Youth here. Do they sell their souls here? Do they have a ring of wishes? I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, I'm on Cincinnati and the over in this game. So far, it's 1-1.
Tonight, we've got Kershaw, Dylan Cease. Unbelievable. What a great matchup. What a great win by the Padres last night. I'm not counting out the Padres with that bullpen to make a run at the Dodgers here in the National League West. Who do you like in this one tonight?
The first thing I did yesterday after that win, I'm like, I looked at the stadium. How far behind are the Padres? All right, because they look pretty damn good right now. And the Dodgers are still beat up. Right, they're still beat up. Freeman, they say now he's not going to play this entire series. He's going to the entire series for San Diego. So that's a loss here. We don't know when Mookie Betts will come back, and will he be Mookie Betts when he comes back here? Flaherty, we'll see what he can be in a Dodgers uniform. I like the Padres tonight. I don't think Cease will be brilliant, by the way. We all know he's certainly not going to pitch no-hitter 2 games back-to-back here. But I think Kershaw will be – he was good last outing, and he may give you another inning here. But it'll come down to that Dodgers bullpen, which is the weakness of the team here. We know that's not true with San Diego. I'm going to go with San Diego winning again.
Right. Listen, I hear all the no-hitter, guys don't pitch well after a no-hitter. I get all of that. But the reality is this is a pretty good Padres team that seems to be hitting their stride. And what are you going to get more than 4 or 5 innings out of Kershaw, honestly? And then what? How much faith you got in that bullpen? It feels like too low a number also here. 6.5, 7, Kurtz? Come on. Really?
I kind of agree with you. I kind of agree. I would probably hit the over in this game as well. I haven't taken it yet, but that's what I'm leaning. If I'm sure I'll make that bet within the next hour and a half.
I am with you there. I think that's the way to go because that bullpen of the Dodgers are going to get involved, and the Padres, the way they're swinging the bat, whew. And I don't know that the Dodgers are going to get anything off of with that Padre bullpen now. So, George, appreciate it, man. Enjoy the games. Game Time Decisions. We'll close it out next year on the grid.
What has happened? What has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado? It wasn't just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments. Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Left hand from Rockhold. Right hand right back from Mike Perry.
Can I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man? It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC's 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network as we look to close out this edition. Have no fear, we've got in-game live primetime coming your way here at the top of the hour, and they've got you covered with not only the Cubs up 2-0 over the Reds, the games of the day that we have all been looking forward to, including the Pirates, the suddenly surging Pittsburgh Pirates, taking on the Houston Astros in a sweep situation. Framber Valdez, though, they're going to have to bring their A game if they're going to get past Framber here tonight. And then, of course, the Dodgers and the Padres getting ready to go at it. Clayton Kershaw, Dylan Cease, great come-from-behind win by the Padres last night. And now, of course, Clayton Kershaw, who went, I think, 4 1/3, 4 2/3, his first go-around, his last start off the IL. They'll stretch him out, see if they can get a few more out of him here tonight. But if not, that Dodger bullpen is going to have to get involved sooner rather than later in the game. Late night games tonight, they'll have you covered with Rockies taking on the Angels here. Love me some over in this game here. Kyle Freeland, ironically enough, is a guy that pitches way better at Coors Field. Don't ask me. He's a better pitcher at Coors Field than he is on the road. They are taking on the Angels here tonight, and Daniel going. It does feel like we might get a few balls leaving the ballpark here. I think the total hovering around 8.5. I don't mind that as two teams really with nothing to play for, certainly postseason-wise. But both teams showing an ability to be able to hit the long ball, and I think runs are coming here tonight in that one. And then, of course, the Athletics and the Giants coming your way. Stripling taking on Logan Webb. I mean, the Athletics just keep winning games. How? I have no idea. But they keep winning games. And they somehow managed to figure out a way to keep their closer, who is an absolute stud in Miller. But, of course, he is hurt right now, Mason Miller, with a broken finger. They did trade away Urseg, who was acquired by the Kansas City Royals on Tuesday this week. So basically their 8th and 9th inning guy are no longer there. They had that situation pop up last night in the game against the Giants. It's going to be a committee right now in the bullpen of the Athletics till they figure it out. But don't forget, the Giants, you know, they got some new players as well. The Solar trade, who left and went to, they traded him back to Atlanta. That means they've got a couple of holes to fill on that side. The good news is they got Logan Webb, who has done a really good job at home at Giant Stadium. He is their number one going up against Ross Stripling. I don't mind the over K prop with him, more than capable of getting that number. The A's actually hit 4 home runs in that game last night, and J.P. Sears if J.P. Sears could pitch more often like he did last night, there would have been a lot of people excited about him, and maybe we'd be talking a different scenario with him. But he showed last night certainly what he is capable of, and I think Logan Webb will eliminate the home run option here, which does not leave the Athletics a whole lot of other options in playing small ball to try to manufacture runs. So it's usually home run or not. And in this spot here, because I don't trust either bullpen at this particular point, I do think the under 4.5 in the first 5 is not a bad look here. I do think the Giants should be able to score a couple of runs, but I got a lot of faith in Logan Webb at home to be able to limit this A's team in the first 5 to 1 run at max. I don't see this thing getting 5 runs in the first 5 innings. I think this is, and which is why the total is 7.5. So I do think the first 5 under is the way to look here. And also, the Cubs just scored 2 more runs off of Lodolo to make it a 4-0 game in the top of the 3rd. How many had Cubs up 4-0 in the 3rd inning on that bingo card? If you did, congratulations. But that looks like still no hits, by the way, for the Reds. And this is kind of what I was talking about with Hendricks. He's done a really good job over the last couple of starts. He's just a gas can waiting to get lit, but right now he is limiting the damage by the Reds. But in-game live coming up here next, prime time. They will carry that game for you and the rest as we get ready to say goodbye to July. Tomorrow, welcome back August, welcome back football. Enjoy the rest of your night. Game Time Decisions will be back tomorrow here again on the Grid.